Secretary of Science and Technology for the Amazonia, here representing the Honorable Brazilian Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Ms. Luciana Santos. Professor Dr. Gilmar Pereira da Silva, Rector of the Federal University of Pará. Lena Halonova, President of the International Society for Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing, Isprs. Dr. Fabiola Doracelli Yepes Rincon, President of the Latin American Society for Remote Sensing and Spatial Information Systems, Selper. Ms. Sophie Jacquel, representing Mr. Emmanuel Lenin, the Ambassador of France in Brazil. Dr. Laurent Polidori, President of International Society of Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing, Technical Commission 3 Remote Sensing, and Isprs Midterm Symposium Coordinator. Dr. Ilcea Ferreira, President of Selper Brazil and Selper Symposium Coordinator. Now we kindly invite Mr. Salomão Habib, a local artist, who will play the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please do stand up. We are honored to register the presence of the following authorities: Dr. Rogailan Shamari, National Geospatial Data Policies and Standards for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia; Dr. Arnaldo Queiroz, Director, Geoscience Institute, Federal University of Pará; Professor José do Egito Vieira Santos Soares Filho, Special Advisor for the Rectory, Federal University of Pará; Professor Julia Clarinda Paiva Cohen, Environmental Science Graduate Program, Federal University of Pará; Professor Susana Homero, representing Professor Igor Ramoy, Director, Socio-Environmental and Water Resources Institute, Rural Federal University of Pará; Professor Carlos José Capella Bispo, State University of Pará, Pro-Rector for Management and Planning, representing Professor Clay Anderson Nunes Chagas, Head of Staff, State University of Pará; Dr. Georgiane Oliveira, Director of Planning and Policy Articulation at Sudan, Coordination for the Development of Amazonia, representing the Superintendent, Dr. Paulo Rocha; Dr. Marcel do Nascimento Botelho, President, Amazon Foundation for Support to Studies and Research, FAPESPA; Dr. Carlos Tanasauskas, representing Dr. Fábio Simão, Regional Manager for Sensipan, Management and Operational Center for the Amazon Protection System; Dr. Romero Reis de Mello Jr., Superintendent for the Brazilian Geological Service; Frigate Captain João Paulo Martins das Mercês, representing Vice Admiral Antônio Capistrano, Commander the 4th Naval District, Brazilian Navy; Dr. Leila Maria Garcia Fonseca, Coordinator for Strategic Studies and New Business, Brazilian Space Agency; Dr. Paolo Gessini, Director of Strategic Intelligence and New Business, Brazilian Space Agency; Professor Pedro Valfir Souza Filho, representing Technological Institute, Vale; Ladies and gentlemen, our applause to the authorities present in our event. We now invite Dr. Laurent Polidori to make his speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries seated at the panel, dear colleagues and friends of the international remote sensing community, on behalf of the International Society for Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing Isprs Technical Commission 3 Remote Sensing, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all in the midterm symposium of our commission in Belém, city of the mango trees. Isprs Technical Commission 3 is hosted by France and Brazil with the support of my friends Alessandra Gomes from INPI, Brazil, and Jean-François Faure from IRD, France, respectively Vice President and Secretary of the Commission. A binational commission is in which the Technical Commission President is equally supported by the two national societies is not common in Isprs, but it is natural for a binational person. French citizen living in Brazil, I had the support of the two societies, and I'm very grateful to SFPT and Selper Brazil. I will also say a few words of thanks to UFPA, Universidade Federal do Pará, which is hosting our event in its campus, to the international societies Isprs and Selper for their confidence, to the organizing team, to the authors who have chosen our symposium to publish and present their work, to the reviewers for their anonymous help to improve the quality of our publications. And many thanks to our sponsors. Our gold sponsors, IRD, Institut de Recherche pour le Développement from France, ITV, Instituto Tecnológico Vale from Brazil, GEOSA, General Authority for Survey and Geospatial Information from Saudi Arabia, and to all our other sponsors and supports, Hispex, CIS Guyane, ClickGeo, UFRA, UEPA, FEFACTION, Airbus, CESI Senai, French Embassy in Brazil, Mutua Para, CAPES, NASA, ESA, UMETSAT, AEB, CNPq, FINEP, INPI, CNES, CPE, Visiona, Dataterra, MapBiomass, and our partner, Brazil Amazon. We received about 200 contributions, most of which were accepted after the review process from authors and co-authors from 47 countries. And together with the Selper Symposium, we have authors from 50 countries. These contributions are published in the Isprs Annals, which are already online, and in the Isprs archives, which will be online during the week. 1 year before COP30, which will be held here in Belém, our community will share the latest advances in remote sensing technologies and their application to earth science, environment, and climate to assess the potential and limitations of these technologies. And this event, with the technical sessions, keynote lecture, panel discussions, and an industrial exhibition, will create bridges between countries, bridges between technologies and applications, bridges between different research areas, bridges between students and industry. Thank you for contributing to this exchange. I hope you will enjoy the event. I will hope you will enjoy Belém, and it is time for me to declare open the Isprs Technical Commission 3 Midterm Symposium.
Thank you, Dr. Polidori. We now invite Dr. Youssef Ferreira to make her speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to my esteemed colleagues, honored guests, and distinguished members of this table. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Selper Brazil, the Association of Latin American Specialists in Remote Sensing, I'm delighted to welcome you to the Isprs and Selper event here in Belém. This is a unique and meaningful occasion for Selper Brazil, marking a significant milestone in our history as we host this co-located event with Isprs, one of the most respected and long-standing societies in the fields of remote sensing and photogrammetry. Selper Brazil has grown remarkably, now representing over 500 members, and we continue to strengthen our role as a scientific society in remote sensing, fostering innovation and development in this field. This event exemplifies our commitment to advancing our mission. We received 225 submissions and are honored to have nearly 200 participants registered. This gathering would not have been possible without Selper Brazil's proactive role as official Isprs representative in Brazil since 2022. And I would like to recognize our Vice President, Laurent Polidori, who is also the coordinator of this event and President of the Technical Commission 3 on Remote Sensing. I must emphasize that all members of our board work voluntarily, representing all 5 geographical regions of Brazil. I am immensely grateful to each of you for your dedication. Today, we are also stepping into the presidency of Selper International for the next 2 years. My heartfelt thanks go to Mexico, led by our colleague Fabiola Rincon, for the outstanding work during their tenure. This is indeed a time of growth and engagement. I'm also pleased to welcome the national chapters, Argentina, Colombia, Cuba, and Mexico, here with us today. And I would like to recognize the activation of other national chapters, Peru, Ecuador, and Chile. We look forward to continued growth and collaboration across our region. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to everyone who worked so diligently to organize this event. Many have been working tirelessly behind the scenes alongside Selper Brazil's administrative team. I extend our sincere thanks to the staff, professors, students, interns, and our partner institutions, especially Federal University of Pará, the National Institute of Space Research, INPE, the Federal Rural University of the Amazon, and the State University of Pará, who have come together to make this event possible. Thank you all for your commitment and dedication. Thank you for your presence tonight. I wish you all an inspiring beginning to the Isprs and Selper event and look forward to meeting you along this journey. I now declare the 21st Selper International Symposium officially open.
Thank you, Dr. Yusea. We now invite Professor Dr. Gilmar Pereira da Silva to make his speech.
Boa noite a todos e a todas as pessoas presentes.
Good evening, everyone present.
É uma alegria recebê-los aqui na Universidade Federal do Pará.
I'm very happy to host you and to have you here at UFPA, Federal University of Pará.
Gostaria de saudar a nossa mesa, em nome do Ministério da Ciência e Tecnologia do Brasil, e dizer da nossa alegria em recebê-los aqui para esse evento tão importante para a leitura das questões climáticas do nosso país e do mundo.
I'd like to thank for all the members of the committee and invite all the persons present in this event in the name of the Ministry of Science and Technology of Brazil, and it's a pleasure to have you all here. I hope you have a good time.
A UFPA recepciona com alegria a comunidade científica que desenvolve pesquisa em sensoriamento remoto em um momento de grande preocupação com as mudanças climáticas.
Federal University of Pará, it's happy to have you here, and happy to have all the scientific community and all the scientists who study and develop research on remote sensing.
Vivemos na região amazônica e conhecemos os desafios de utilizar com racionalidade e responsabilidade os recursos naturais.
We live in the Amazon region and we know all the challenge of using and living with the
recursos
natural resources we have available in the region.
Temos o compromisso em formar profissionais competentes e socialmente responsável com o desenvolvimento sustentável.
It's our duty to form competent professionals with the responsibility to say again, sorry. Diga de novo.
Desenvolvimento sustentável.
Responsible with the sustainable development of the region.
Em uma região onde vivem em torno de 20 milhões de brasileiros.
In a region with a population of about 20 million of Brazilians.
Sabemos que é possível promover o desenvolvimento econômico respeitando os limites de resiliência dos sistemas naturais.
We know that it's possible to live respecting diga de novo, por favor.
Desenvolvimento econômico respeitando os limites de resiliência dos sistemas naturais.
We know it's possible to live within the economic development, respecting the nature and the scarcity of human resources or natural resources.
Ok. A cultura dos povos originários e os saberes das comunidades de ribeirinhos.
The culture of the regional people and the knowledge of the communities who live by the rivers.
Que povoam a extensa rede de rios
Who live around the extensive network of rivers,
que conecta e sustentam a vida na região.
connecting and sustaining the life in the region.
Somos cientes que os complexos fenômenos
We are aware that the complex phenomena
e processos que desenvolvem na Amazônia
and processes related that happen in the Amazon
interferem na dinâmica global do clima
interfere in the global dynamic of the climate,
e que hoje convivemos com eventos
and today we are faced with events,
extremos
extreme events,
que expõem milhões de pessoas a vulnerabilidades e riscos.
exposing millions of people to the vulnerabilities and risks.
Neste momento, convivemos com secas de grandes rios,
At this moment, we're facing severe droughts of rivers,
ameaçando a segurança alimentar
threatening security, food security,
e hídrica de milhões de amazônidas,
and hydric of millions of people in the Amazon,
o que até há pouco tempo era uma situação inimaginável.
which we couldn't imagine the situation short while ago.
Nossa cidade, Belém, cresceu ocupando planícies de inundação dos rios.
The city of Belém grew, occupying floodplains on the rivers.
Hoje, aproximadamente 2/3
Today, approximately 2/3
da população habitam essas áreas,
of the populations are living in these areas,
que são naturalmente de grande vulnerabilidade.
which are naturally highly vulnerable.
A subida no nível dos oceanos,
The increase of ocean levels, of sea levels,
uma das consequências que mais preocupam nas mudanças climáticas em curso,
one of the most worrying consequences of the climate change
ao longo dos anos,
along the years,
a ocupação desses territórios não foi adequada.
the occupation of our territory was not.
Poluímos e soterramos os igarapés,
We polluted and destroyed the streams,
que durante os eventos de enchentes,
which during the flooding events,
por ocasião das chuvas copiosas, das grandes chuvas, né, do inverno amazônico,
during the heavy rains in the Amazonic winter season,
perdem sua função de canais naturais.
do not do this main functions of natural channels.
O avanço das águas oceânicas sobre o continente
The advance of the seas, of the oceans over the continent,
ameaça o equilíbrio ambiental,
threatens the natural environmental equilibrium
de ecossistemas sensíveis
of sensitive ecosystems
que se desenvolve no estuário do rio Amazonas
developing in the estuary of the Amazon rivers
e que sustentam a economia de milhares de amazônidas.
sustaining the economy and the life of millions of Amazonians.
Lidar com esses desafios
Dealing with these challenges
requer conhecimento científico e tecnologia.
demands scientific knowledge and technology.
Muito nos alegra
We are very excited
receber em nossa cidade
for receiving you in our city
e em nossa universidade
and in our university,
cientistas, pesquisadores
scientists and researchers
e estudantes que se ocupam com o desenvolvimento tecnológico
and students looking at the technological development
do sensoriamento remoto.
of the remote sensing science.
Nos próximos dias, a UFPA,
In the next days at UFPA,
no coração da Amazônia,
in the heart of the Amazon,
será palco de palestras,
there will be the main venue for talks,
apresentação de trabalhos
conferences and posters,
e discussão da mais qualificada comunidade
and discussions of the most qualified society
que trata do sensoriamento remoto.
of the remote sensing sciences.
Daqui a um ano,
Next year,
Belém sediará a COP30
Belém will host the COP30,
e tenho certeza
and I'm sure
que o trabalho desta semana
that this event
trará contribuições
will contribute
às decisões políticas
to the political decisions
que serão tomadas pelas governanças
which will be taken in the future for the governments
globais que aqui se encontrarão.
and the global leaders which will be which will be here in Belém in this COP30 conference.
Recomendamos apreciar nossa culinária,
We hope you enjoy our culinary and food,
que é um forte elemento cultural da
We-
identidade paraense.
which is a very strong cultural element of our the cultural element of the Belém life,
E é elaborada com ingredientes
and it's elaborated with ingredients
que são encontrados somente aqui em nossa região.
which you find only in our region.
Apreciem nossas paisagens naturais,
I hope you enjoy our natural scenery and scenes,
definida pelo equilíbrio de forças
shaped by the equilibrium of the forces
entre o rio de maior descarga líquida do planeta
of the biggest river in the planet,
com o Oceano Atlântico.
within the Atlantic Ocean.
Conheçam nossa rica história,
I hope you get a chance to know our rich history,
que mistura elementos da miscigenação dos indígenas,
which mixture elements of the native people, the indigenous,
africanos
Africans,
e brancos.
and white people.
Finalmente,
Finally,
desejo a todas e todos os conferencistas
I wish you all
profícuo encontro
a very happy and fruitful conference,
e que leve em suas memórias
and I want you to take back home
boas lembranças de nossa terra.
good memories of our land, Belém.
Muitíssimo obrigado.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Gilmar. We now invite Dr. Lena Halonova, President of the Isprs, to make her speech.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It's nice to be here in Brazil, in Belém, in the city and in the country where Isprs has the honor to have the 5th symposium of this year of Isprs, organized by our colleagues, by President and Vice President of the Technical Commission 3 of Isprs. Technical Commission, which is dedicated to remote sensing. I am remotely sensing you now, here now, and you are remotely sensing me. And this is a pleasure that we are together here in this beautiful city and area of study of university. And we are going to share your knowledge, and you are going to talk about your results. You will present what you have done, and you will have questions, and you will get answers. And it's a pleasure that we have the opportunity after a couple of years where the situation like that wasn't allowed. So we are happy because everything is turned well, and we can enjoy such meetings like symposium, like other events which we are organized as a society. And it will not be a long time. We will have another meeting far away from here in Dubai, in Arabic Emirates, and it will be Geospatial Week. So this is my duty to promote other parts of Isprs. And also another big event which will take place not far away, I would say, on the similar continent, if I'm talking about Americas, in Canada in 2026. So that's all for the promotion. And now about Isprs. Isprs is a society of societies. So Brazil is one of our members. We are calling them ordinary members. And Isprs has around 91 countries, ordinary members, in its group. And they have also other additional types of members. And I would like to mention the opposite one, individual members. Everybody can become an Isprs individual member. And I encourage you to look at our website and find the opportunity to fill in a form and become an Isprs individual member. And this is free of charge, which is, I think, a quite interesting info. And it has only one condition, that the individual membership is valid for 1 year, and you will have to update that next year. That's all. And you will be informed about our activities, not only what's going on today, what will be going in a couple of months, but at all. You will receive emails, information about us, and so on. And Isprs is not only about science, it's also about education, and it's also about meetings and relations between people. And one of our aspects is to make the society live and to maintain not only relations among our existing members, but to encourage also young generation. And young generation is something which is our future. And their situation is slightly different than that of those who are employed already. So Isprs has a foundation, and it allows Isprs to support financially young generation, selected people who apply for travel grants. And I'm talking about travel grants since we will present awardees of travel grants which they were awarded to attend this symposium. So those who are interested in seeing the ceremony, please come here on Wednesday before the plenary. You will see them. There are not so many, but they are successful because they submitted a form, they explained why they want to attend this amazing meeting, and they were awarded. And this is not the only way how we support the young generation. This is also a student consortium. It's a separate organization which is led and organized by young scientists under the age of 35. And they will have also an extra meeting here. So those who feel that this group of people, young people, are interested for you, just attend their meeting, which is planned here. You will find them, and it takes place on Thursday in the morning between 8:30 and 10 o'clock. So this is something we can do with the young generation, and we cooperate together. This is not only we are giving you something, but this is also, we want to get something from you. What we want from you. These are new ideas. Children always comes with new ideas, and young generation as well. So we appreciate that very much. And this is a little bit about our society. And I'm very glad that we have found here a sister society, Selper. So Ilsea, thank you so much for joining the preparation of this event, which is an event of two societies, and that's great. This is a very important moment for Isprs. So thanks a lot, and everybody, I believe that everybody will feel how important moment it's for all of us. And going back to Isprs, a little bit of history. Isprs is an old organization. It was founded in 1910. And Brazil played an important role in Isprs in 1984. It was a congress which was organized in Rio de Janeiro. And 1984 is 4 years later than 1980. Why I'm mentioning 1980? It was the year when the Congress in Germany was held, and during that it was decided to make a change in the name of the society from International Society for Photogrammetry to International Society for Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing. So Brazil held first Congress with the official content focused on remote sensing. And it was a great step ahead, and I think it really was where it should have been, where it should be. And remote sensing. This is something which I used for my students since many years. I don't want to say that, how many. But this is not only a science. I think this is a way of thinking. Way of thinking of things which are around you and which you analyze by your eyes, but which you can process by technology. And people who understand the technology, they understand more what's going on around us. And I feel that you also have something in your body, in your head, that we live on the earth, we can see it around, we cannot remember everybody, everything, but we have data, and the data are collected under the umbrella of remote sensing. And this is extremely important, because we are living tens of years, and then we have our children who will follow, our grandchildren, and we don't want to destroy it. We want to hand it over in a good state. And remote sensing can show us what has happened since too. And if it was a good result, that's fine. But if it was a bad result, we have to find a solution how to make a change. Otherwise, we will destroy what was ready for us. We will destroy that for the future. And I believe that you may think about these kind of things as well. Maybe in a small scale, maybe in a big scale. It's up to you. But working with remote sensing, this is, I think, something like dedication. And I believe that you have something in your head and in your heart, the same as I have. We are living on the earth, and I hope the others will follow us. Thank you for coming, and thank you all of those who organized this event for doing that, because it's an important event. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Halo Nova. We now invite Dr. Fabiola Doracelli Yepes Rincon, President of Selper, to make her speech.
Gracias, Mónica. Damas y caballeros, estimados colegas y amigos, ladies and gentlemen, estimated colleagues and friends. Es un gran honor para mí darles la bienvenida al 21º Simposio Internacional de Selper, aquí en Belém, capital del estado de Pará, y una de las ciudades más importantes del Brasil, del Amazonas del Brasil. Aquí convergen mentes brillantes y también corazones comprometidos con la promoción de la educación, del desarrollo de nuestra región. Y agradezco también su presencia en este importante evento, porque celebramos además el intercambio de conocimientos, la colaboración y la innovación de las ciencias geoespaciales, el ambiente y también del clima. It is a great honor to give you the welcome to this symposium, to Selper Symposium here in Belém, in the capital of Estado de Pará. And it's also one of the most important cities here in Brazil. So it's important also because here is becoming an event that is had a lot of brilliant minds and also very committed hearts in the promotion of education, the development of our region, and several other regions, but especially Latin America, we are talking here, at least for Selper, obviously. I'm grateful for the presence of this important event, for the interchange of knowledge with Isprs colleagues. And also because we could have all this collaboration and hear about innovation in geospatial science and environment and climate. A lo largo de los años, y entrando ya a los 45 años, Selper Internacional se ha convertido en un faro del conocimiento y un espacio ideal para la reflexión, la crítica sobre temas relevantes que enfrenta nuestra comunidad. Este año nos reunimos aquí con el lema del simposio, más allá de lo que es el dosel, las tecnologías y las aplicaciones del sensoramiento remoto, en un llamado a la acción para abordar temas que son desafíos actuales para América Latina y el Caribe. So through these 45 years, Selper International has become an important space for knowledgement and also an ideal space for the reflection and critics of some very important topics of our community. This year, we have the topic about beyond the canopy, the space of technology and applications for remote sensing. And also, this is a call for action for all these problems that we have here in América Latina and the Caribbean. Durante los próximos días y hasta el 8 de noviembre tendremos la oportunidad de asistir a diferentes conferencias magistrales, a paneles de discusión y, por supuesto, a escuchar muchos de los trabajos y también a estar en talleres y una aplicación de diferentes temas, desde las últimas tendencias de metodología, de la investigación, de educación y hasta también estrategias innovadoras para fortalecer a nuestras instituciones, lo cual es muy importante. Y lo cual además es una enorme oportunidad para impactar en la oportunidad que tenemos para aquellos que podemos inferir en lo que son los tomadores de decisiones en nuestro país o en nuestros diferentes países, para el desarrollo sustentable y obviamente para la mitigación y adaptación del cambio climático. Por lo tanto, manifiesto que estos próximos días vamos a tener no solamente intercambios que enriquezcan nuestro conocimiento, sino también que nos inspiren a llevar adelante iniciativas que impacten positivamente a nuestras comunidades latinoamericanas. So during the next days and until the 8th of November, we'll have a chance to hear different keynote speakers and also some tables of discussion, also workshops. So we'll have like different topics here to hear and obviously share some methodologies of research and educative strategies, very innovative to get strong and strong institutions, or different institutions. So it is a very important opportunity to get an impact for the decision makers in our countries. Obviously for the development, the sustainable development, and for the mitigation and adaptation of climate change. So I manifest that this next stage will be a very nice opportunity, not only to learn more in knowledge or acknowledgement, but also to inspire to different initiatives that impact positively to our communities. Quiero expresar también mi agradecimiento a los organizadores de Selper, este evento magnífico de Selper Brasil. Muchísimas gracias, Lorena, muchísimas gracias, Ilsea, y obviamente a todo el equipo de trabajo que está aquí. Yo los conozco a muchos de ellos y son gente muy trabajadora. Les agradezco mucho esta oportunidad. Por supuesto, los ponentes, asistentes que vienen de otras partes del mundo y también a los sponsors, por supuesto, cuyo esfuerzo y dedicación han hecho posible este simposio. También reconozco a cada uno de los asistentes internacionales o nacionales de las diferentes regiones de Brasil, porque sé que a pesar de ser de aquí, es muy grande Brasil y tienen que venir desde muchos lugares para poder asistir a este evento y es difícil hacerlo a veces. Y por supuesto a la familia Selper. Cada uno de los más de 1000 miembros que tenemos en los diferentes capítulos de Selper. Estoy muy orgullosa de haber sido presidenta de Selper Internacional durante los últimos 2 años. Aún no terminamos formalmente, el miércoles pero finalmente estoy muy orgullosa de esta comitiva internacional que durante los últimos 45 años continúan acompañándonos desde su formación. Han sido 45 años, un poquito menos de la mitad que Isprs, que empezó hace más de un siglo. Pero aquí están, de hecho, muchos de estos grandes representantes de Selper, desde Argentina, Costa Rica, Cuba, Chile, Ecuador, México, Panamá, Perú, Paraguay, Venezuela. Muchas gracias por todo el esfuerzo y compromiso que muestran cada vez que nos reunimos en esta familia, por contribuir con su experiencia y por su perspectiva a este diálogo tan necesario. Okay, I want to express my gratitude to the organizers, to the sponsor, obviously, and especially to Selper Brazil, because this was a very strong work for all the team, obviously Polidori and Ilsea, but all the people that is working here in the university and in different parts of Brazil. I also want to take the effort and dedication for this symposium to all the people that is here now, the international people that is becoming from other countries, but also from the people, the different regions of Brazil that they have to come here, and it's a very strong country, so it's very, very hard sometimes to reach. So thank you very much. And especially, I thank to the family of Selper. Every one of their more than 1,000 members in the different chapters of Selper. Thank you very much. Thank you, and special thanks to the International Committee that we already have 45 years, at least maybe less than half of the Isprs, but obviously it is 45 years. So thank you very much to all the representatives from Argentina, Costa Rica, Cuba, Chile, Ecuador, Mexico, Panama, Peru, Paraguay, Venezuela. And thank you so much for all your effort, for your commitment, and always to share your experience with me during these 2 years. Well, I don't want to personalize, but thank you to all of you for your perspective and always be there for me. For your work and el trabajo y el diálogo que se plasma, en esta nueva, en una nueva obra que tenemos de Selper, en un libro con el que vamos a celebrar nuestros 45 años sobre la historia de Selper, será publicado previo a nuestro aniversario número 25. We have a new book from the history of Selper International. It will be this book will be published in the next month before our anniversary 25. Además, de esta oportunidad hemos visto también culminado este proyecto que conjuntamos con Isprs en la Comisión 3 que lidera el doctor Polidori y obviamente con todo el equipo de Selper Brasil y que son responsables junto con todo este trabajo magnífico que vemos aquí y obviamente que vamos a ver en los próximos días. Entonces, tengo que decirlo así que muchas gracias por esa oportunidad y también por la oportunidad de traer a lo que es un congreso nuevo en los últimos 2 días, el Information for Disaster Management, el cual después de haber sido fundado en el 2005, la primera vez que viene a este continente y estoy muy agradecida por esa oportunidad, por haber permitido que se diera y obviamente con lo que es la Comisión 3 de Disaster Management de Isprs a la cual también pertenezco. So thank you very much for this opportunity. For the Isprs Commission number 3 that leads the Chief Laurent Polidori, and of course to all the team of Selper Brazil for all this work, and especially because they allow to bring this Congress of Information for Disaster Management. I see some of the people that was in this Congress just last week, and it's very important because this was funded in the 2005, and this was the first time that this Congress came to America. So obviously this is important, but especially because what we just heard is a great opportunity for our community. Deseo que estos próximos días estén llenos de aprendizaje y colaboración, que se generen nuevas amistades, y que juntos podamos construir un mejor futuro para nuestras regiones, especialmente para Latinoamérica. Sean todos bienvenidos y que tengamos un simposio productivo y enriquecedor. Thank you so much. I hope these next days are full of new knowledge for you and the collaboration, and you get a lot of networking, new friendships here, and also, of course, we together get a better future for our regions. Everybody, please welcome to here, and I hope this symposium is productive and enriquecedor. I don't know how to say enriquecedor, so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fabiola. We now invite Ms. Sophie Jacquel, representing the Ambassador of France in Brazil, to make her speech.
Obrigada. Então, boa noite a todas e todos. Em primeiro lugar, quero agradecer ao UFPA para nos hospedar hoje, e depois vou falar em inglês. I would like to thank you all for making this meeting possible. The MCTI, the Isprs, the Selper, and all the participants, and also the organizer. Thank you again. I know what it takes to organize such an event, international event. So I would like, before to talk, just to thank you all for that. I'm very pleased to be here in Belém today. As the rector said, Belém is quite symbolic for this meeting. And as Laurent Polidori mentioned, the French National Society was strongly involved in the work that we are celebrating today, and the French Embassy is very happy to support your work and this unique international organization. Photogrammetry and remote sensing, collaboration on spatial information sciences are really all key to work towards a sustainable and safe environment, has been already mentioned, for the Amazonian region, of course, and we are convinced of that, as we share a border with Brazil in the Amazonian region, but also for all the ecosystem. France and Brazil will carry on working together towards this priority of a sustainable and safe environment, maybe through the newly relaunched France-Brazilian Center for the Amazonian Biodiversity, but also through all our national spatial agencies, the CNES and INPI, and also all our research institutions and universities. Your work and your dedication has been already mentioned a lot, so you should be really, really proud of yourself and the work you are doing. Are really important to face the modern challenges of our planet by monitoring, mapping, innovating, and really, I will say, the most important, by helping to make a political decision. We talk about the COP in Belém next year, and I think what you are doing today and what already been done this year, if I understand well, and will be done in the next months, is really important to prepare this big political event. So thank you for that. Support scientific progress, but also training, as I really appreciate that your work is also really committed to enhance training of our future generation of scientists. Will always be a priority for France, and I would like to congratulate you all for that. Before to conclude, I will just share a word from the representative of the IRD, which is the French Institution for Research and Development, which support also the event, and unfortunately didn't make it today. So he will just join everything that I said, and thank you again for the organization and the excellent work that the organization and all scientists are doing on these key issues. I will now conclude and let the specialist after that talk, and first of all the secretary of the MCTI, and wish you all a very fruitful event. Thank you again. Muito obrigado.
Thank you, Ms. Jaquel. At this moment, we invite Dr. Tanara Lauschner, Secretary of Science and Technology for the Amazonia, here representing the Honorable Brazilian Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Ms. Luciana Santos, to make her speech.
Obrigada. Boa noite a todos e todas. Boa noite ao querido professor Gilmar Pereira. Parabéns pela sua eleição, sucesso no seu mandato. Eu trago um grande abraço, um forte abraço da ministra Luciana Santos a todos e todas. Ela, infelizmente, não pôde estar presente aqui hoje. Nós estamos nas vésperas do início da nossa Semana Nacional de Ciência e Tecnologia, cujo tema é Biomas do Brasil, e amanhã nós teremos início a semana, e ela, infelizmente, não pôde vir a Belém. Então, eu trago esse abraço e vou agora falar o meu discurso em inglês para que todos possam entender. Good evening, esteemed authorities, Professor Lena Ralonova, President of Isprs, Dr. Fabiola Rincon, President of the Selper. Thank you for supporting the decision to hold this event here in Brazil, in the Amazon, in Belém. Mrs. Sophie Raquel from the Embassy of France in Brazil, Dr. Laurent Polidori, President of Isprs Technical Commission, and Dr. Ilceia Ferreira, a quem eu cumprimento e agradeço por todo o trabalho realizado por você e por todas as pessoas que fizeram esse evento acontecer. Esteemed, distinguished guests, colleagues, and participants, it is with great honor that I welcome you to the Isprs Selper Remote Science Symposium in Belém. This gathering holds a special significance as it brings together experts, researchers, and policymakers from over 40 countries to engage in discussions that will shape the future of environment monitoring and climate action. Belém, a city that stands as both a gateway to the Amazon and a beacon for environmental resilience, provides the perfect backdrop for this conference. The Amazon, the world's largest tropical rainforest, is not only vital for the global climate system, but also embodies the intricate balance between nature and human progress. This region serves as a living laboratory where remote sensing technology plays a crucial role in monitoring deforestation, understanding ecological shifts, and informing sustainable development practices. We are here for 3 extremely important events related to remote sensing. It is worth highlighting that it has been a long time since events of such relevance in this field have been held in the region. The importance of host remote sensing event in this globally significant region cannot be overstated. Remote sensing is critical for monitoring, tracking water resources, managing natural disasters, etc. This is especially pertinent as we face the greatest drought ever recorded in the Amazon, while also remembering that the region is equally susceptible to periods of severe flooding. The timing of this event is pivotal. As we approach COP30 to be held in this very city, we have the unique opportunity to align our scientific endeavors with global climate goals. The presence of this diverse international community here in Belém is a testament to the significance of the Amazon and the foresight of the event organizer in choosing this location. Remote sensing, with its ability to provide comprehensive and precise data, includes sensor data, satellite images, and continuous monitoring, is indispensable for crafting informed, effective policies to combat climate change and promote sustainability. For COP30, the representation of many countries showcasing their remote sensing capability is crucial, as we will have here in the symposium. The results of the research being presented here are extremely important for shaping public policy. In this context, I place the Secretariat of Science and Technology for the Amazon of the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation at your disposal so that we can build solutions together for the Amazon region. There are already institutions of excellence operating in the Amazon, such as the institutions of our ministry. The National Institute for Amazonian Research, INPA, the Emílio Guild Museum, the Mamirawa Institute, and the National Institute for Space Research. I would like to commend the organizers for their vision in bringing this event to the Amazon region. It highlights not only the importance of scientific dialogue, but also the commitment to placing environment management at the forefront of our collective efforts. Together, we have the power to turn knowledge into action and set a precedent for what can be achieved when science, policy, and innovation intersect for a common cause. Thank you for your presence and for your dedication for this vital work. We extend a warm welcome to Brazil and hope you enjoy everything that Belém has to offer. Like our Jean said before, the food, the culture, and the carimbó, açaí. May this event inspire new paths forward and lay the groundwork for sustainable solutions that benefit not only the Amazon, but the entire planet. Thank you, bem-vindos ao Brasil. Obrigada.
Thank you, Dr. Tanara.
Just una fe de ratas. Olvidé mencionar a Colombia. ¿Dónde está mi amiga de Colombia? I'm sorry. And also to say that the book of Selper 45 years is a project of the Comité de Proyectos. Alfredo Cuello, gracias. Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Thelma Krug. Thelma Krug is a Brazilian mathematician and climate change researcher with a robust educational background, holding degrees from Roosevelt University and a doctorate in spatial statistics from the University of Sheffield. She's a retired senior researcher at National Institute of Space Research, where she led the Earth Observation Directorate and the International Affairs Office from 2015 to 2023. She served as a vice chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC. As of October 2023, she is the chair for the steering committee of the GCOS, Global Climate Observing System, and a member of the WMO, World Meteorological Organization Infrastructure Commission Management Group. Dr. Krug is specialized in geomatics, climate science, and sustainable development, with notable contributions to remote sensing for deforestation monitoring and natural resource management in Brazil, significantly impacting environmental science and climate policy. Dr. Krug, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody. It's really a pleasure for me to be here. And I would like also to say good evening to the authorities here, the rector of the University of Pará in particular, through whom I acknowledge all the others and say good evening to all the others authorities. Well, let me first thank also the organizers, the two societies, Selper and Isprs, for the invitation for me to be here this evening in this historical Amazonian city of Pará, and also in this inspiring academic setting of the University, Federal University of Pará. Well, you're not going to be frustrated with me, but I'm not going to show a satellite imager, okay? We have 5 keynote speakers, and I am absolutely sure that they are going to show many images from different satellites. My speech is going to be a little bit different. So I believe that most people that know that for many years, my focus has been on climate change and response measures, such as mitigation actions and adaptation measures to help minimize the threat posed by climate change. Well, let me say that I enjoyed the theme of this event, Beyond the Canopy, Technologies and Applications of Remote Sensing. And I hope, indeed, to go beyond the canopy in my talk. I want to go to the atmosphere, I want to go to the ocean, I want to go to the cryosphere. So my talk aims to highlight the role of satellite data to monitor essential climate variables and how space agencies can be informed about the observation gaps and needs from scientists and policymakers to identify changes in the climate system. So before I explain this further, I will quickly introduce some findings in the reports from the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, with the hope that I will provide some insights into the opportunities and challenges, especially for developing countries, to contribute to climate change, mitigation, and adaptation. So I'm going to go, not for the next slide. For many years, the focus to tackle climate change has been on mitigation actions. That is, on human interventions to reduce emissions or enhance the sinks of greenhouse gases. The ocean is a sink, forests is a sink. So many opportunities exist, particularly in developing countries, in the so-called AFOLU sector, the agriculture, forestry, and other land use, as can be seen in this slide. So we can go, can someone go to the next slide? Monica? I don't know, I don't have... Yeah? Não sei, pode mudar o slide? Eu não tenho... Okay, sorry. There is yeah, that's the slide. So I'm going to say, please change the slide when I say please. So this slide provides global and regional trends of greenhouse gas emissions associated to agriculture, forestry, and other land use. And I would like to highlight two elements in this figure. First, the largest contribution of carbon dioxide emissions associated with land use change, and forestry. It was nicknamed LULUCF. We used to say that it was like a dog's name. So around 51% of the emissions are associated to, CO2 emissions are associated to LULUCF. And this is followed also by methane emissions from enteric fermentation from livestock in the agriculture sector, which is around 23%. Well, but I think that the most relevant part that I see is the second part below, which shows the regional emission trends from AFOLU, from agriculture, forestry, and other land use, that shows the importance of this LULUCF sector for Latin America, for Africa. Cannot use this. But anyway, from Latin America, sorry, this is not really too readable, Africa and Southeast Asia, particularly from deforestation and forest degradation. This can be well tracked using Earth observation satellite imagery. Halting deforestation or reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation are included in most of the nationally determined contributions of developing countries to meet the long-term temperature goal of the Paris Agreement, which is well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and pursuing the 1.5 degrees limit. Although emissions from LULUCF still have high uncertainties, due in particular to the uncertainties associated with the carbon density in above-ground biomass in tropical forests, it's anticipated that the European Space Agency biomass missions, carrying a novel P-band synthetic aperture radar, will deliver crucial information about the state of our forests and how they are changing, and to further our knowledge on the role forests play in the carbon cycle. The next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So, as it is well known, agriculture, forestry, and other land use sector contributes, and many people do not know this, contributes only 22% of the global total greenhouse gas emissions. And LULUCF, particular deforestation, with around 12 to 13%. And hence, there are good opportunities for mitigation actions from tropical forests. However, as we know, the main driver of anthropogenic climate change is associated with emissions from fossil fuels and industry, corresponding to approximately 78% of the total global greenhouse gas emission trends. If these emissions are not ambitiously reduced, the AFOLU sector, being an alive system, will be highly vulnerable to the impacts and future risks of climate change, and could put at stake all the mitigation efforts that forests could do, as well as agriculture. So we know from multiple and independent sources, including satellite observations, the unequivocal human influence in the warming of the atmosphere, of the ocean and land, and the widespread and rapid changes in these elements, including cryosphere, that have occurred since around 1750. The next slide. Note in this slide the change in global temperature, which is shown in black, and also simulations that have been done. Several climatic models have been used, and these are shown just for two of them, in blue and red. And these models include both natural and anthropogenic causes, and in particular since 1950. Take a look on that high peak that you see, the change in the trend that happens after 1950, sorry. And this explains why in some publications refer to this year as the beginning of the Anthropocene era. It's just because of this huge change that you see since 1950 in the temperature. The next slide. Yeah. This slide shows some of the observed changes in the climate system, including increases in CO2 concentration, changes in precipitation, increasing glacier mass loss, global surface temperature, global sea level, ocean heat content, and some of these are unprecedented in hundreds and thousands of years. And mind you, many of these elements here would not have been observed in the absence of space observations. So this is where, when I say I'm going beyond the canopy, this is what I mean. I'm going really beyond and expanding the potential that we have with the space observations, remotely sense the data. But as I said, some of the changes are unprecedented in hundreds and thousands of years, or sometimes referred as millennium. For instance, in 2019, the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere was the highest in at least 2 million years. The Arctic Sea ice coverage levels are the lowest since at least 1850, and has the lowest level in at least 1,000 years. And changes across the terrestrial cryosphere are widespread, with several indicators now unprecedented, as I said, in centuries and millennia. Without satellite observations, it would be impossible to have all this data, and also the recovery of paleo data. Well, I will now provide some information on observations needed to monitor the multiple changes induced from climate change. The Global Climate Observing System, GCOS, that I presently chair, has defined key indicators. These are referred to as essential climate variables, nicknamed ECVs. And these CVs describe the Earth's changing climate, such as sea level, atmospheric temperature, and land cover type, among others. And GCOS regularly publishes ECVs to support assessments and dictates the needed measurement resolution, stability, uncertainty, and timeliness in order to have robust and usable data. ECVs form the fundamental basis for the IPCC reports and for informing decision-making processes, among other applications. The next one. Presently, we have 55 ECVs that are specified, about 60% of them, these essential climate variables, 60% of them are supported by satellite observations. These ECVs are validated against independent data sets and have high levels of traceability and consistency. So, how the information about space observation gaps and needs are conveyed to space agencies? Possibly they would not guess what the scientists need or policymakers are looking for. So the next slide. So every 5 to 6 years, GCOS, this Global Climate Observing System, releases a status report. And this status report contains the state of global climate observing system that is followed by an implementation plan that provides a set of high priority actions which, if undertaken, will provide global observation of the climate system and the understanding of how this climate system is changing. The last implementation plan was released in 2022 and showed that since 2015, satellite observations have improved, allowing near global coverage of many variables and providing open access to the data. Many improvements have also been achieved on surface-based observations of individuals' essential climate variables across the atmospheric, ocean, and terrestrial domains, with new technologies and approaches being developed, especially for the ocean. Archiving and online access to the observations and derived information has also improved. The last implementation plan from GCOS includes a supplement directed specifically to space agencies that identifies the major practical actions that should be undertaken in the next 5 to 10 years under 5 major themes. First one, ensuring sustainability. 2, filling data gaps. 3, improving data quality, availability, and utility, including reprocessing. 4, managing data. And finally, other emerging needs. The next slide. For each of these themes, a number of actions are identified and they are detailed in this implementation plan. So for instance, all these actions here that are targeting those 5 things that I mentioned are for space agencies. So it's nice when we have all the images that we see, what we can do, but we have to understand that we also have several gaps that need to be filled. And more than that, when we are talking about climate change, we are talking about the need to ensure that we have a long time series that is consistent. So I'm going to elaborate a little bit on this in a while. So the next slide shows, for instance, an example of an action, which is the first one that we see in that slide. So the next slide, please. And which shows essentially the next slide. This action A2 address gaps in satellite observation. Like the next slide, please. It's action A2 that address gaps in satellite observations likely to occur in the near future. So this targets urgent actions needed to ensure continuity of satellite observations like altimetry in the polar regions, biomass measurements, wind LiDAR, global scale ice surface elevations. So we see that we go very well beyond the canopy. And also in the IP, we say means of assessing progress. I'm going to show in the next slide how we do this. And for each one of these elements, for this observation, they are detailed of why we need to have these gaps in satellite observations being filled. The next slide shows, for instance, what happens. So you have the implementation plan with all these actions. So the next status report is going to see, or will track the progress that has been achieved for each one of these actions. So this, for instance, is an example of an action in the implementation plan of 2015, which concerns ensuring continuity of global satellite precipitation products, similar to the global precipitation mission. And as we see, we have a rating that says, well, no progress has been made, reasonable progress has been made, or mission achieved. So in this case, it was assessed as underway with significant progress. So not only the space agencies have the knowledge of the gaps and what is needed, but also they have to say how they are fulfilling these data gaps and these needs. And this is periodically done every 5 years. So implementation plan was finalized in 2022. So in 2026, we do the status report. So space agencies have to say how they progressed with all the actions that I have indicated that is under their responsibility, not necessarily solely. Sometimes, they are the major implementers, but they can also have, the stakeholders like data centers, the academics, and others also being responsible for the implementation. So, coming back, with satellite observations, while satellite observations have been a major success in monitoring many of these essential climate variables, long-term continuity of some satellite observations is not assured. So while new satellites incorporate innovations and improvements, it's essential that consistent time series are available across many missions. So while making best efforts to ensure continuity and/or cross-referencing of key climate data sets, satellite agencies are encouraged to proceed with the exploration and demonstration of new technologies to observe the Earth system from space. So future climate observing capabilities that are at risk have been identified, as I said, in the 2021 status report. So GICUS identifies and addresses these gaps in the existing observing system, as identified in the status report, and recognizes that despite the successful contribution of satellite observations, gaps do exist. So sustainable, long-term, in situ, and satellite observations of climate are necessary to understand and respond to the changing climate. So while satellite observations have been a major success, we need to ensure the continuity of the satellite observations. But to finalize, beyond efforts to monitor changes in the climate system and the effectiveness of mitigation actions, an urgent issue is to advance on the implementation of adaptation measures. As has been acknowledged now in the Climate Change Convention, adaptation is not an option anymore. It's an urgent need. So adaptation aims to make adjustments needed to reduce and minimize risks of climate impacts on people's quality of lives and livelihoods, assets, and ecosystem functioning, while also leveraging opportunities in supporting sustainable development. While climate adaptation has long been understood as mainly a local issue, it is increasingly clear that it needs to be effectively addressed at global level as well. I remember very clearly, because when I was at the National Institute for Space Research, and we were responsible for the data for the monitoring of the deforestation in Amazonia. Now we do the assessment monitoring of all the biomes. But at that time, I think the main fear that we had was not to have the availability of satellite imagery that would be consistent with what we would have been doing for many years. So at the beginning, we used to have, now we use many more, researchers at INPE use many more satellite imagery than we used to do in the past, which was mainly Landsat data that we had. So the fear that we had is, how about if we don't have the Landsat anymore? And how about if we don't have data that is consistent, that can ensure that we have a long-term time series that allow us to really understand the changes that are occurring in the deforestation. And then one of the issues that I will finalize from my history at INPE was that most people don't know this. At that time, satellite images, we didn't have computers. It was all done in terms of interpretation on overlays on the top of every satellite imagery. To have the Amazonian coverage, we would need around 235 satellite images, only Amazonia. And all those would be done by hand. And the minimum unit, mapping unit that we had was 6.25 hectares. So can you imagine, sometimes we say we have this long series, the longest time series of deforestation, consistent in the world. And we would be questioned, but you know, we have so many other satellites, why are you still sticking to 6.25 hectares? Well, 625 was 1 millimeter square in that overlay. It was the minimum unit that we could map. So now we do 1 hectare, but we never gave up the 6.25 hectares so as not to lose the consistency of the time series. So when we say it's changing, it's changing, it's increasing, it's increasing, it's decreasing, it's decreasing. So we can have parallel assessments at 1 hectare, for instance, or even less. But for Brazil, it was important to maintain the consistent, and in particular for deforestation, which was an issue and still continues to be an issue of international concern. So with this, I think that I hope to give something different today, to say that we are going to see many images, many applications, many technologies, but this is possibly not enough for the realm of applications that we still need and a lot of things that we still don't know. So fortunately, you know, satellite data and observations have allowed us to know places, for instance, for the cryosphere, and even for the ocean. We are improving on that. Ocean is very difficult, it's very hard. But you know, through satellite images, we go beyond the canopy. We go to the clouds, we go to the cryosphere, to places where we potentially would not be able to assess and would be like a big unknown to everyone. So that was the message that I wanted to give, that there is someone out there, there is GICOS out there, telling, you know, through knowledge and consultations with the different stakeholders, what are the needs? What is the resolution that we require? What is the temporal resolution that we need? And in particular for adaptation now, I think that we can go from global, regional, and local. Understanding the vulnerabilities, which is part of the risk analysis when we want to implement adaptation measures. So I hope that I have highlighted a little bit differently from what potentially would be the first, you know, keynote speech this night. No satellite image, no beautiful, you know, Amazonian forest being shown, but I hope that I have highlighted the concerns that are out there that we need to watch out for better and better remotely sensed data to help us understand every time more on this ecosystem functioning. So thank you very much for your attention. Enjoy now the cocktail, and I hope that you have a very enjoyable symposium. Thank you.
We now invite Mr. Salomão Habib to return to the stage and perform for us.
Boa noite a todos e todas. É sempre um prazer tocar violão, poder fazer música e fazer música amazônica. É ainda melhor porque a gente tem essa atmosfera que tanto nos inspira. Mas a primeira música que eu queria tocar é uma música que não é original para violão, ela é uma música para orquestra, que foi composta e a mãe desse compositor tinha ascendência oriental. E ele compôs essa música que eu vou tocar agora para ser um treino para a orquestra que ele tinha. Não havia presunção nenhuma dele tocar, dele fazer sucesso com essa música. Ele era um compositor francês, eu tenho certeza que vocês sabem o nome da música, e somente após a morte dele foi que a música se tornou a música mais conhecida deste compositor francês chamado Maurice Ravel. A música chama-se Bolero, é original para orquestra e dura 17 minutos e meio, mas eu não vou tocar na íntegra. Calma, né? O arranjo ele tem aproximadamente 3 minutos.